I got home earlier than planned. The house was dark, so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. The furniture was gone. The couch where I used to crash after long nights, gone. Even the white curtains Melissa wanted to swap out for Instagram had been stripped away. On the dining table, a note. "You're boring. I'm going to find something more exciting." I stood there, still. A chill crawled down my spine. Then my phone buzzed. A message from the bank. "Transaction successful. $128,000 has been transferred out of your account." My hand tightened, knuckles pale. Melissa didn't just take the furniture. She wiped out 12 years of savings. I opened my laptop on the counter, tried logging into my personal account. The screen blinked. "Password reset required. Someone tried to access your account." I drew a deep breath. What Melissa didn't know was, while she thought she was playing the game, I'd been waiting for this moment. I used to think Melissa was the last person who could ever hurt me. We met on a drizzly afternoon in Capitol Hill, a tiny cafe tucked between the noisy streets, my little escape from the crushing weight of deadlines. When I picked up my latte, Melissa handed it over with a crooked smile and a paper cup scribbled with a smiley face. "Lighten up, mister. You look way too serious." She was 26, 4 years younger than me. Her green eyes had this strange sparkle. I was 30, a software engineer, my life as neat and rigid as the lines of code on my screen, and maybe a little too lonely. She pulled me out of that loop. We dated for a year before getting married. The night before the wedding, my mom rested a hand on my shoulder. Her voice was soft, but heavy with meaning. "Be sure she loves you, not what you can give her." I laughed it off, shaking my head. I believed love could fix everything. The first year was sweet. We rented a small apartment. The kitchen was cramped, but Melissa filled it with tiny plants and colorful handmade decorations. She'd wait up for me with simple dinners and soft, gentle eyes. But then, things started to shift, slowly, subtly. So subtle I didn't notice at first. When she opened a yoga studio with the savings I'd built over years, I thought she'd finally found her passion. But that passion soon became a bridge pulling her away from me. Late-night classes, weekend retreats with her wellness friends I'd never met. Phone calls filled with laughter that went silent the moment I walked into the room. I stayed quiet. I always stayed quiet. Until one night. She came home close to midnight, and there was this faint, unfamiliar scent on her coat. Not the soft, essential oils I used to know. I asked without thinking. She glanced at me, lips curling into a faint smirk. "Don't overthink it. You hate parties anyway. I didn't want to pull you into all that." I forced a laugh, tried to believe her, but deep down, a small voice whispered, I was lying to myself. The next morning, she left early. I noticed a car deposit slip on the table, a brand new Range Rover. The buyer's name, Melissa Bowman. She'd never mentioned buying a car. I opened my laptop to check the account. A browser tab was still open, real estate records. And there it was, the house title, Melissa's name, only hers. I froze, my hand cold against the mouse. A faint thought flashed in my mind like a dying light. Maybe I'd signed it, without even realizing. I set the laptop down on the table. Cold spread through my body like ice in my veins. The words on the screen burned in my eyes. Property owner, Melissa Bowman. No mention of me. Not a single trace of the man who'd sweated for every dollar to pay this place off. Memories came flooding back like freezing rain. Over a year ago, Melissa suggested rearranging the house papers to help her expand the yoga studio. She handed me a stack of documents, her voice soft, coaxing. Just sign it, babe. I've checked everything. That day, I'd just come home from a long business trip. Exhausted, too tired to argue. So I signed. Didn't read, didn't ask. Because I trusted her. I buried my face in my hands. A dry, broken laugh escaped, sharp and hollow. My trust. Now nothing but shards. I stepped out onto the balcony. Seattle's night air cut deep, drizzle clinging to the cold metal railing. Below, pale streetlights cast weak shadows over cars rushing by. The city felt foreign. Melissa felt just as foreign now. In my head, I heard Dad's voice, low and steady. Son, prepare for the worst. Never let anyone hold the keys to your life. Not even her. Back then, I laughed. You worry too much, Dad. Melissa loves me. She's not that kind of person. But now, I wasn't so sure. 3 years ago, when Melissa got swept up in high-end yoga events and glittering social circles, I started taking precautions. I opened a separate account, funneling small amounts from my paycheck. Not much, just enough to stay invisible. I pulled my investments out of our joint portfolio, shifted them into funds only I could access. I never thought I'd use them. It was just insurance. But now, that faint fear had become reality. My phone buzzed, snapping me back. A message from the bank lit up. Credit card declined. Insufficient funds. I froze. That was the backup card. The one Melissa didn't even know existed. Someone tried to wipe it clean. I gripped the phone tight. Knuckles white. Part of me wanted to smash it. Wanted to scream. But I didn't. I drew a deep breath. Forced it all down. I glanced around the house. The wedding photo on the wall hung crooked, ready to fall. Dad's old watch, the last thing he ever gave me, was gone from the shelf. Melissa had taken it. I exhaled slowly. My hands dropped to my sides. Tonight, the house felt colder than ever. Melissa thinks she's won. She believes I'm just a dry, boring engineer who'll drown in heartbreak. But there's one thing she doesn't know. I've been ready for this day all along. I stayed up all night, sitting still on the sofa in an empty living room, the place where Melissa's favorite furniture used to be. Faint yellow light from the street spilled across the ceiling. Shadows spread like cracks in my chest. The phone lay silent on the table, screen black. But I stared at it anyway, like it might bring a miracle. A call. A message. Even just "I'm sorry." Nothing came. I scrolled through her old texts. The last one was from 3 days ago, when she was in Colorado on her energy retreat. "Don't forget your vitamins, babe. I'll call you before bed." 3 days ago, she played the caring wife. Now she'd drained our accounts, taken everything, and vanished, leaving behind one cold, careless note. "You're too boring. I'm off to find a more exciting life." The next morning, I drove to the bank, clinging to the faint hope this was all some mistake. "I'm sorry, sir. The account was emptied at 11:58 p.m. last night. The transaction was valid." The teller's voice was flat. She didn't know her words crushed something in me. I grabbed my phone, texted Melissa. "Where are you? What the hell is going on?" No reply. I called. Line busy. I called again. This time, a robotic voice cut through the silence. "The number you are trying to reach is unavailable." Heat rose in my chest. I clenched the steering wheel, knuckles pale. I drove straight to the yoga studio I'd funded. The sign out front shimmered in the morning sun. Melissa Bowman Yoga and Wellness. Doors locked, curtains drawn. I pounded on the door. Called her name. No answer. A young staffer walked up, hesitant. "Are you looking for Melissa? She stopped teaching last week. I think she's on an extended vacation." I pressed her for more. She only shrugged. I nodded, thanked her, and walked back to my car, my chest heavy as stone. Back home, I opened my laptop to check emails. At the top of my inbox, a subject line glared back. "Urgent divorce petition." I clicked it open. The first line cut like a blade. "Please sign the divorce papers as soon as possible. My lawyer has prepared everything. If you delay, I'll take legal action to protect my rights. I trust you'll have the decency not to make this uglier than it needs to be." Attached was a PDF. Asset division. I opened it. The house, the yoga studio, the Lexus, all under Melissa's name. The credit card debt, under mine. I sat there, numb, throat dry, hands shaking so bad I almost dropped the mouse. I wasn't just losing a wife. I was about to lose everything. My home, my money, my dignity. And if I didn't act now, I'd lose my future too. I closed my eyes, took a deep, steady breath, then opened a hidden folder on my laptop. Plan B. Inside, statements from my private account, legal documents, and the number of Dad's old lawyer, the man who helped him settle messy disputes. I picked up my phone, typed a single line. "We need to meet." Melissa made her move. Sent. I looked around the house. The place once filled with Melissa's laughter. Now, the wedding photo on the wall hung crooked, ready to fall. Dad's watch, the last gift he gave me, was gone. The silence was deafening. Melissa thinks she's won. She believes I'm just a dry, boring engineer who'll drown in betrayal. But there's one thing she doesn't know. I've been ready for this day all along. I sat in the empty living room. Pale yellow light bled through thin curtains. This house once echoed with Melissa's laughter. Now, all I could hear was the wind slipping through cracked windows. My phone kept lighting up on the table, message after message, from friends, colleagues, even strangers, all asking the same thing. "Ethan, is it true? They're saying you... Did you really do that? I can't believe it." I opened social media. On Melissa's page, a post was exploding. "Be careful with men who seem kind. I've lived in hell for 10 years. He controlled me, hit me when I spoke up, and recently stole company funds to keep his mistress. I have to speak up, for myself and for other women." Underneath, comment after comment. "What a monster. Throw him in prison." I gripped my phone tight, knuckles bone white. Melissa had played her deadliest move. By afternoon, an email from my company hit my inbox. "Ethan, we've received a complaint of serious misconduct. You are suspended pending investigation. Cooperate fully and keep this confidential." I froze. The blow was fast, precise, brutal. This wasn't about money anymore. She wanted me gone. She wanted to erase me. I opened the drawer. Dad's old watch used to sit there. Melissa promised she'd keep it safe. Now it was gone. Like everything else. I clenched my fist so hard my palm split. Blood welled up, but I felt nothing. I heard Dad's voice in my head. "Son, when they push you to the wall, you've got two choices. Fall to your knees, or tear the damn wall down." I opened my laptop, logged into a hidden email account Melissa never knew existed. The files I'd gathered over 3 years were still there. Bank statements, property contracts proving I paid every cent, screenshots of Melissa mocking me in private messages to other men. I clicked on a video file. Melissa, drunk, laughing. "Once he signs, I'll make him look like a fool to the whole world. Men like him deserve to be crushed." I exhaled slowly. Not yet. This wasn't the moment to use it. Not yet. I drafted a single email. To Robert, Dad's old lawyer. "It's time. Activate Plan B. No one else can know. Not even Jason." Then I stepped onto the balcony. Seattle's night air cut through me like a blade. The scent of rain hung heavy. Below, traffic flowed on, cold, indifferent. Melissa thinks she's won. She believes she's broken me. But she forgot one thing. In this game, I was never the pawn. I built the board. Every move, mine. A message from Robert came as I sat still in the cold, hollow living room. "I've reviewed the documents. We need to meet in person. Melissa just hired a major law firm and filed domestic violence charges. If the case goes through, they can lock your accounts, file for a restraining order, even have you detained. You've got 24 hours to flip this." I replied with a single line. "Set it up. She won't walk away that easy." The next morning, I stepped outside. A police cruiser sat a few yards away. 2 officers stood by, watching. One approached. "Ethan Bowman? We've received a complaint from Mrs. Melissa Bowman. She claims you engaged in domestic abuse and threatened her life." He handed me a paper. "This is a summons. You'll need to appear at the station to address these allegations." I took it. A chill ran straight through me. Melissa had played her sharpest card yet. As I climbed into my car, my phone buzzed. A message from the only friend who still dared text me. "Melissa showed up at your office. She handed over photos of bruises and a formal complaint. Your boss is in a closed-door meeting with HR. They're suspending you to avoid a scandal." I closed my eyes, drew a slow, deep breath. She wasn't just taking my air. She was choking the life out of me. I opened my laptop, logged into the hidden email account, the one she never knew existed. The files I'd gathered over 3 years were still there. Bank statements, showing Melissa drained my accounts to fund her studio, registered in her name. Messages to her lover. Don't worry, once he signs, we're free. A drunken video of Melissa laughing. If he resists, I'll leak fake photos. He'll crumble fast. I forwarded everything to Robert with one line. Not yet. When the time comes, you'll know what to do. That night, an anonymous text lit up my phone. Don't fight back. Sign the papers, disappear, and we'll leave you alone. Otherwise, the police will knock. I stared at the screen. My knuckles tightened until they split. But deep down, I felt it. A cold, steady smile. I dialed a number saved under one name, Plan B. When the line connected, I spoke slowly. Pull the trigger. Let her believe she's still ahead. I stood and walked toward the mirror. The eyes staring back at me weren't afraid. They were focused, cold, unforgiving. She thinks I'm cornered, but in the shadows, I'm not the prey. I'm the hunter. A message from Robert lit up in the dark. Melissa sent a fake video to the police and your company. They're filing for an emergency arrest warrant. You have 12 hours left. I gripped the phone. My hands shook. Every move she made. Too precise. Like Melissa had been planning this for years. 1:30 a.m. A loud knock shattered the silence. I stepped to the door. Flashlights hit my face. Ethan Bowman, we have a warrant for your arrest on charges of domestic abuse. You need to come with us. I froze. 2 officers stood there, cold eyes, hands near their cuffs. One held out a paper. Melissa's signature scrawled at the bottom. He's a threat to my life. I knew I was innocent. But right now, who would believe a man standing before 2 cops with hollow, sleepless eyes? My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Sign the papers, transfer everything, or sleep in a cell. Your choice. I closed my eyes. Fist clenched so tight, blood broke the skin. Melissa didn't just want my money. She wanted me broken, on my knees. I nodded to the officers. I'll come, but give me 1 minute. I stepped into my study, opened the laptop. In my inbox, the files I'd gathered for 3 years sat untouched. Statements showing Melissa drained my accounts to open her studio, under her name. Text to her lover. Once he signs, we're free. A drunken voice recording, if he fights back, leak the fake clip. He'll fold fast. I forwarded it all to Robert with one line. Stay quiet. When the time comes, drop it like a hammer. I sank into the chair, head in my hands. Melissa's face flashed in my mind. The girl who laughed when I proposed. The woman who once held me through my darkest nights. How does someone who loved me push me this far down? A tear hit my palm. I wiped it away, inhaled slow. I picked up my phone, dialed a number saved under one name, Plan B. A deep voice answered, Is it time? I spoke softly. Not yet. Let her think she's winning. The longer she does, the harder I'll hit. Before stepping out, I paused at the mirror. Bloodshot eyes stared back. No fear left, only a deadly calm. Melissa thinks she's controlling the board, but she doesn't know. This board was never hers. And for a moment, I wondered how many men out there sit in silence, as the woman they once loved turns them into monsters. The cuffs clamped around my wrists, cold, biting deep into my skin. 2 officers led me out of the house, the same house that once echoed with Melissa's laughter, the place where I thought we'd grow old together. In the car, red and blue lights flashed across the window. Shadows danced over my face. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath. Inside, everything was spinning, and yet, I wasn't afraid anymore. Melissa thinks she's pushed me to the edge, but she doesn't know. At the station, a young detective dropped a thick file in front of me. Mr. Bowman, your wife's testimony is detailed. There are witnesses who heard shouting. Clips of you yelling are all over the internet. This city is talking about you. I stayed silent, eyes steady. Do you have anything to say in your defense? A faint, cold smile tugged at my lips. No need. The truth speaks for itself. The detective frowned. Then his phone rang. he answered. His face shifted. We've just received a court order. All charges against Mr. Bowman are on hold pending further investigation. And there's a fraud and money laundering complaint against Melissa Bowman. The room went still. The detective looked at me. His eyes had changed. You knew this was coming? I simply shrugged. 3 hours later, they let me go. Rain poured over Seattle's dark streets. Standing under a storefront awning, I pulled out my phone. A message from Robert lit up. Melissa's studio is locked down. Her bank accounts are frozen. She's live streaming now, crying, blaming you for destroying her life. I tapped the link. Melissa appeared on screen. Mascara streaked her face, eyes swollen, voice shaking. He deceived me for 10 years. Now he's making up lies to ruin me. I can't take this anymore. One hand clutched a wine bottle. The other trembled around a bottle of sleeping pills. Comments flooded the stream. Don't do it, Melissa. He's not worth it. But you have to live. I sent Robert a single message. Let her stream, do nothing. When the time comes, we'll flip the board. I paused. How many men out there turned into monsters simply because they loved the wrong person? And how many stayed silent, while others chose to fight back? My phone buzzed. Melissa was calling. Her voice cracked, raw with fear and anger. Ethan, we need to talk. If you still have a heart, stop this. I raised the phone to my ear. My tone was low, steady, cold. No, Melissa, this game isn't over. Rain slammed against the window. Each drop cracked like a whip, tearing through the silence. On the phone, Melissa screamed. Her voice broke, wild, frantic, trembling. Ethan, if I die, you won't get away. I left a message saying you abused me, pushed me to this. When they find my body, you'll rot in prison. Forever. I stared into the thick darkness beyond the glass, face still, expressionless. Melissa. I let out a faint, cold laugh. My voice dropped, low and sharp. You still think you're holding the board? On social media, her live stream kept climbing. Melissa sat slumped on the floor. Mascara streaked her face, hands trembling around a bottle of sleeping pills. He ruined my life. If I'm gone tomorrow, remember, Ethan Bowman pushed me here. Comments flooded the feed. Save her. Don't let this woman die. That man's a monster. Melissa's eyes flared as she screamed into the camera. You think you've won? No matter what. You'll always be a failure in this love, Ethan. I might lose everything, but you'll die a lonely man. I listened, hand clenched tight enough to draw blood. Then slowly, I let go. A leaked recording surfaced online. If he resists, leak the fake clips. I've built enough to make him look like a monster. The clip spread like wildfire. In less than an hour, the tide turned. She staged everything. Ethan was the victim all along. Melissa's account was locked. The law firm dropped her case. Those who once cheered her on turned vicious, tearing her apart. My phone buzzed. Her name lit up the screen. I let it ring 3 times, then answered. Her voice cracked, like shattered glass. Ethan, you've won. I've lost everything. What more do you want? Please, don't destroy me any further. I closed my eyes, took a slow breath. Her face flashed in my mind. The girl who once held my hand in the rain. The woman who laughed so brightly when I proposed. Melissa, I never wanted to destroy you, but you need to understand. This board, you built it, and you were the one who knocked it down. I stood still by the window of my new apartment. Outside, the rain poured harder. Each drop slid down the glass, washing away every trace of the past. Streetlights cast their faint glow over my eyes. Eyes once heavy with pain, now holding nothing but a deadly calm. A breeze slipped through the open window. I closed my eyes. Let the first drop of rain fall into my palm. Cold, but oddly peaceful. I wonder, how many men out there, after loving the wrong person, find the courage to step into the light? And how many stay trapped in the dark forever? She's no longer in my life. But because of her, I learned how to climb out of hell and stand alone. 2 weeks have passed since that final night. I can still hear Melissa's voice, cracked and hollow like shattered glass. You've won. I've lost everything. Please, don't destroy me any further. I never replied. And after that night, she disappeared. I moved into a smaller apartment on the edge of the city, far from the noisy streets where we once lived. No more cold walls echoing with painful memories. No more fake laughter. No more nights of shouting until we were both spent. Each morning, I make coffee. I stand by the window, watching sunlight slip through the trees. It feels strange, like I've just stepped out of a nightmare that lasted a decade. Melissa vanished from the media as quickly as she had exploded onto it. People stopped talking about her. But me? I lost my job. My name's been cleared, but there are still eyes, quiet, doubtful, watching. And worst of all, I lost faith in love. Some nights, I wake in the dark. My hand reaches out instinctively, only to find cold, empty sheets. I sit up, walk to the mirror. A man stares back at me, eyes bloodshot, hollow. Without thinking, I slam my fist into the wall. Skin splits, blood burns hot, and for the first time, I feel alive. I cry, not for Melissa, for me, for the man who let himself get pulled into her storm for far too long. I remember Dad's words before he passed. Some storms don't come to destroy you. They come to wash away what was never meant to stay. The next morning, I open my laptop. I delete her last email. If one day I hurt you, remember, I loved you. In the only broken way I knew how. I whisper to myself, forgiveness isn't for her. It's for me. Because I deserve peace. The evening sun spills gold across the dusty window. The light dances over this empty room like sparks over ash. A quiet promise that new things can grow after the fire. I wonder, how many men out there keep holding it in when all they want is to cry? And how many dare to let go, to save themselves? That afternoon, my phone rang. An unknown number flashed on the screen. I hesitated, then answered. A calm voice spoke. Hi, I'm Emma. I work with a group supporting men who've been through heartbreak. We're looking for someone who's walked out of hell, to help others find their way back. Would you be willing to listen? I smiled. The first real smile in months. This time, no bitterness on my tongue. Yes, I'm ready to listen. The call with Emma lasted longer than I expected. You don't have to decide now, she said softly. But we believe. Someone who's walked out of the dark can be the light that leads other men forward. I stayed silent. My eyes locked on the faint scar along my left wrist. In my mind, I saw him clearly. The man I used to be. Broken. Defeated. A version of me I never want to return to. A week later, I stood outside a small room where the support group met. Inside, men sat in a circle. Eyes red. Faces heavy. But in them, a flicker of hope. Emma introduced me. Every pair of eyes turned my way. I took a deep breath. Hi, I'm Ethan. I once believed that when a woman promises to love you forever, it really means forever. But I was wrong, and the price I paid was losing myself. Every morning, I open a small notebook and write one line. Today, I'm still breathing, still standing. That's enough. Some days, I walk under Seattle's light rain, letting each drop wash the heaviness from my chest. For the first time in years, the rain doesn't feel cold anymore. It feels like the sky is hugging me. One evening, after group, a young man approached. His face was hollow, eyes tired, yet holding a fragile glow. Thank you. Because of your story, I didn't end my life last night. I looked at him for a long moment, then placed a hand on his shoulder. No one is worth losing yourself over. You'll be okay. Just take it one small step at a time. The next day, I arrived early. As I entered the room, I noticed a woman sitting in the far corner. Her face hidden in the shadows. Her shoulders trembled. One frail hand clenched an old silk scarf. The light shifted, and for a split second, I saw them. Eyes I once loved to the point of blindness. Eyes I once hated with every fiber of my being. Melissa. She looked up. Her eyes were empty, but deep inside them, I caught a sadness I had never seen before. The room fell silent. Only the sound of rain outside remained, each drop heavy, like an unspoken confession. I said nothing, just nodded slightly, and took my seat. The next morning, I opened the window. A weak sunrise spilled into the room. On the windowsill, a tiny flower had pushed its way out from the cracked soil of a dead pot. Life, stubborn and unrelenting, even in the ashes. I placed my hand over my chest, feeling my heart beat, slow, steady, stronger than ever. If it were you, could you forgive the one who dragged you through hell? Or would you stay silent and keep walking? Some pains never fade, but they teach you how to love yourself. And sometimes it takes walking through hell to truly cherish the sunrise.